Welcome to a mini masterclass on breath and HRV, heart rate variability. I want to explore how the lungs and the heart work together to create coherence, connection, depth. And on that note, let's take a deep breath in, bigger. Hold your breath, feel your heart, and let's begin. Heart rate variability. So what is heart rate variability? It is the variation of time between successive heartbeats. So every time your heart beats, there's a little bit of time in between. Sometimes there's a consistent amount of time in between each heartbeat. Sometimes there's variety, and that would be heart rate variability. If there is very little variability in between each heartbeat and of time between each heartbeat, that would be a low HRV. If there's a lot of variety, that would be a high HRV. Interestingly, a healthy heart doesn't beat like a metronome with low HRV. It adapts fluidly to your breath and the environment, which would mean that it has a slightly higher heart rate variability because each breath is naturally stimulating and exhale, calming and relaxing. So every breath influences the heartbeat just a little bit, enough to shift the variability. So a high heart rate variability is actually indicative of a healthy adaptability, a healthy and adaptive nervous system. It's responsive, it's a sign of flexibility and resiliency. Low heart rate variability, which would be like the metronome, means that the heart is beating very stagnant and rigid, protective even. It's a sign of sympathetic overload. It means your body's in fight or flight, and so it's trying to keep everything in line. And that can cause stress or be an indicator of stress, which is shown through a low HRV. Bringing breath to mind, respiratory variability is the natural fluctuation or changing of time in between each successive breath. So similar to heart rate, every breath has a different cadence. Sometimes there's consistency, sometimes there's fluctuations. But contrary to HRV, it's actually good to have a low respiratory variability, which means that you have a slow and consistent and steady breath rate, respiratory rate, smooth, calm, and consistent. And yes, there's a little asterisk next to this because we can have a very short and shallow, rigid breath that is consistent, which wouldn't be indicative of safety or stability or resiliency. High respiratory variability would mean that your breath is kind of scattered all over the place. Maybe you're working too much and it's kind of shallow, and then all of a sudden you take a big sigh, right? So that's a big outlier of breath, trying to get your body to stimulate and find some depth and consistency. So sometimes breath can be scattered, chaotic, inconsistent. This would be indicative of high respiratory variability. Now, if you bring the two together, there's something called respiratory heart rate variability, or respiratory HRV. It's the variation of heart rate in phase with respiratory rate. So how does your heart beat in relationship with the heart? We can calculate this. So whenever we have a high coherence or a high respiratory HRV, we see that the heart and lungs are in sync. The heart beats a little quicker on the inhale, and then a little slower, a little more space between heartbeats on the exhale. Because remember, every inhale naturally contains sympathetic activation. Every exhale consists of relaxation, parasympathetic activation, or inhibition of sympathetic system. So we see in a healthy respiratory HRV, the lungs are breathing in whatever way they're breathing, but the heart is adjusting and adapting and working in tune with the lungs. When there's a low respiratory HRV, this means the breath and the heart are not working together in this situation, creating dysregulation, confusion, imbalance, and also likely an exhaustion of your energy systems trying to keep things together. When there's an ability to modify your breath in order to adapt to different situations and navigate stress, this would be a sign of resilience. How you breathe influences how your heart beats. So keep this in mind. The body is magical and amazing, and it works beautifully together. But sometimes it works better whenever we participate and we engage with the breath, influencing the other systems a little bit more. This mini masterclass was inspired by an article that I recently saw come out called Oxytocin Modulates Respiratory Heart Rate Variability through Hypothalamus, Brainstem, and Heart Neuronal Pathways. This study showed that the presence of oxytocin, it's the hormone of love and connection, naturally creates a link between breath and heart rate, creating a fluidity, a higher respiratory HRV, in a way that we can connect deeper with ourselves and with the world around us. If this interests you and you want more information on breath, body, mindfulness, and performance, like, subscribe, and share this channel. And if you're looking for some ways to improve your own breaths, I have a lot of content and courses online. You can also do one-on-one coaching with me. Would love to dive in, connect your mind, your heart, and your breath together in one. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day.